Acts chapter 1. The first account, O Theophilus, spoke of all that Yeshua began to do and to teach, until the day he was taken up, after he had given commands through the Ruach HaKodesh to the emissaries he had chosen. After he had suffered, he showed himself alive to them with many sure signs. For 40 days he appeared to them, speaking of the kingdom of Eloah. While he was gathered with them, he charged them not to depart from Jerusalem, but to wait for the promise of the Father, which, he said, you heard from me. Yohanan immersed with water, but you shall be immersed in the Ruach HaKodesh not many days from now. They came together and asked him, Master, will you at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? It is not for you to know the times or the appointed seasons, which the Father has placed in his own authority. But you shall receive power when the Ruach HaKodesh has come upon you, and you shall be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in all Yehuda, in Shomron, and to the farthest end of the earth. When he had spoken these things as they were watching, he was lifted up, and a cloud received him from their sight. While they gazed steadily into heaven as he went, behold, 2 men stood beside them in white garments. They said, Men of the Galilee, why do you stand looking into heaven? This Yeshua, who has been taken up from you into heaven, will come in the same manner as you saw him go into heaven. Then they returned to Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives, near the city, a Shabbat day's walk away. When they entered the city, they went up into the upper room where they were staying. Kepha, Yohanan, Yaakov, Andrew, Philip, Toma, Bartholomew, Mattityahu, Yaakov son of Haphi, Shimon the Zealot, and Yehuda son of Yaakov. All these continued together with one heart in prayer with the women, with Miriam the mother of Yeshua, and with his brothers. In those days Kepha stood in the midst of the brothers. The gathering numbered about 120. He said, Brothers, the scripture had to be fulfilled, which the Ruach HaKodesh spoke beforehand through David concerning Yehuda, who became a guide to those who seized Yeshua. He had been numbered among us, and had received his portion in this service. Yet the field of blood became known to all who dwell in Jerusalem, for the wage of wickedness became desolation. Let his dwelling be deserted, and let no one live in it, and let another take his place of oversight. Therefore, from the men who accompanied us through all the time that the Master Yeshua went in and out among us, beginning from the immersion of Yohanan until the day he was taken up from us, one of these must become a witness with us of his resurrection. They put forward 2, Joseph called Barsabbas, also named Justus, and Matthias. They prayed and said, Adonai, you know the hearts of all. Show which of these 2 you have chosen to take the place in this service and mission from which Yehuda turned aside, going to his own place. They gave lots for them, and the lot fell to Matthias. He was numbered with the 11 emissaries. Acts chapter 2. When the day of Shavuot had fully come, they were all together in one place. Suddenly there came from heaven a sound like a mighty rushing wind, and it filled the whole house where they were sitting. tongues like fire appeared among them, dividing and resting upon each one. They were all filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, and they began to speak in other tongues, as the Ruach gave them utterance. Now there were dwelling in Jerusalem devout Jewish men from every nation under heaven. When this sound was heard, the multitude came together, and they were bewildered, because each one heard them speaking in his own language. They were amazed and said, "Are not all these who speak from the Galilee? How then do we hear, each in the language in which we were born?" Parthians and Medes, Elamites, those dwelling in Mesopotamia, in Yehuda and Cappadocia, in Pontus and Asia, in Phrygia and Pamphylia, in Egypt and the regions of Libya near Cyrene, visitors from Rome, both Jews and proselytes, Cretans and Arabians. We hear them speaking in our tongues the mighty works of Eloah. They were all amazed and perplexed, saying to one another, "What does this mean?" But others mocked and said, "They are filled with new wine." Then Kepha stood with the 11, lifted up his voice and spoke to them, "Men of Yehuda, and all who dwell in Jerusalem, let this be known to you. Give ear to my words. These men are not drunk as you suppose, for it is only the 3rd hour of the day." This is what was spoken through the prophet Joel. "In the last days, says Eloah, I will pour out my Ruach upon all flesh." Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your young men shall see visions. Your elders shall dream dreams. Even upon my servants, men and women, I will pour out my Ruach in those days, and they shall prophesy. I will show wonders in heaven above, and signs on the earth below, blood, fire, and clouds of smoke. The sun shall be turned to darkness, and the moon to blood, before the great and glorious day of Adonai comes. And it shall be that everyone who calls upon the name of Adonai shall be saved. Men of Israel, hear these words. Yeshua of Nazareth was a man attested to you by Eloah, with mighty works, wonders, and signs, which Eloah did through him in your midst, as you yourselves know. This one was delivered up by the determined counsel and foreknowledge of Eloah. You took him, and by the hands of lawless men he was fastened to the tree and slain. But Eloah raised him up, losing the pains of death, because it was impossible for death to hold him. For David speaks concerning him, I saw Adonai always before my face, for he is at my right hand, that I should not be shaken. Therefore my heart rejoiced, and my tongue was glad. My flesh also will dwell in hope, for you will not abandon my soul to Sheol, nor allow your Holy One to see corruption. You have made known to me the paths of life. You will fill me with joy before your face. Brothers, I may speak plainly to you about the patriarch David. He died and was buried, and his tomb is with us to this day. But he was a prophet. He knew that Eloah had sworn with an oath that from the fruit of his body he would raise the Messiah to sit upon his throne. David foresaw this and spoke of the resurrection of the Messiah. He was not abandoned to Sheol, and his flesh did not see corruption. This Yeshua Eloh has raised up, and of this we all are witnesses. Exalted to the right hand of Eloh, and having received from the Father the promise of the Ruach HaKodesh, he has poured out what you now see and hear. David did not ascend into the heavens, but he himself says, Adonai said to my Lord, sit at my right hand, until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. Therefore, let all the house of Israel know with certainty, Eloh has made this Yeshua, whom you crucified, both Lord and Messiah. When they heard this, they were pierced in the heart. They said to Kepha and the rest of the emissaries, brothers, what shall we do? Kepha said to them, turn back in repentance, and let each one of you be immersed in the name of Yeshua the Messiah, for the forgiveness of sins. You shall receive the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh, for the promise is for you, for your children, and for all who are far off, as many as Adonai our Eloh shall call. With many other words he bore witness, pleading with them, be saved from this twisted generation. Those who received his word with gladness were immersed, and about 3,000 souls were added that day. They continued steadfastly in the teaching of the emissaries, in fellowship, in the breaking of bread, and in the prayers. Awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done through the emissaries. All who believed were together, and they held all things in common. They sold possessions and goods, and distributed to anyone who had need. Day by day, with one heart, they continued in the temple. They broke bread from house to house, receiving their food with gladness and simplicity of heart, praising Eloah, and having favor with all the people. And Adonai added to the assembly daily those who were being saved. Acts chapter 3. Kepha and Yohanan went up together to the temple at the hour of prayer, the 9th hour. A certain man, lame from his mother's womb, was carried there. Every day they laid him at the gate of the temple called Beautiful, to ask for mercy from those entering. Seeing Kepha and Yohanan about to enter, he asked to receive something. Kepha fixed his eyes on him with Yohanan and said, look at us. The man gave heed to them, expecting to receive silver or gold. But Kepha said, silver and gold I do not have, what I have I give you. In the name of Yeshua the Messiah of Nazareth, rise up and walk. Kepha took him by the right hand and lifted him. Immediately his feet and ankles were strengthened. He leaped up, stood, and began to walk. He entered the temple with them, walking and leaping and praising Eloah. All the people saw him walking and praising Eloah. They recognized him as the man who had sat for mercy at the beautiful gate, and they were filled with wonder. As the healed man clung to Kepha and Yohanan, all the people ran together to them in the portico called Shlomo's, greatly amazed. When Kepha saw it, he answered, "Men of Israel, why do you marvel at this? Why do you look at us, as though by our own power or holiness we made this man walk? The Eloah of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the Eloah of our fathers, has glorified his servant Yeshua, whom you delivered over and denied before Pilate, though Pilate had decided to release him. You denied the holy and righteous one and asked for a murderer to be granted to you. You killed the author of life, whom Eloah raised from the dead. Of this we are witnesses. Through faith in his name, this man whom you see and know has been made strong. Now, brothers, I know you acted in ignorance, as did your rulers. But what Eloah foretold by the mouth of all the prophets, that his Messiah would suffer, he has fulfilled. Turn back, therefore, that your sins may be blotted out, and that times of refreshing may come from the presence of Adonai. For to you first Eloah raised up his servant Yeshua and sent him to bless you, turning each of you away from evil." Acts chapter 4. While Kepha and Yohanan were speaking to the people, the Kohanim, the captain of the temple, and the Tzedukim came upon them. They were troubled, because the emissaries taught the people and proclaimed in Yeshua the resurrection from the dead. They laid hands on them and placed them under guard until the next day, for evening had already come. Yet many who heard the word believed, and the number of the men grew to about 5,000. The next day their rulers, elders, and scribes were gathered in Yerushalayim, with Annas the Kohen Gadol, Caiapha, Yohanan, Alexander, and all who belonged to the high priestly family. They set Kepha and Yohanan in the middle and asked, "By what power or in what name have you done this?" Then Kepha, filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, said to them, "Rulers of the people and elders of Israel, if we are examined today concerning a good deed done to a weak man, by what means he has been healed, let it be known to you all, and to all the people of Israel. By the name of Yeshua the Messiah of Nazareth, whom you crucified, whom Eloah raised from the dead, by him this man stands before you whole. This is the stone rejected by you builders, which has become the chief cornerstone. There is salvation in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved." When they saw the boldness of Kepha and Yohanan, and perceived that they were ordinary men without formal training, they marveled. They recognized that they had been with Yeshua, and seeing the healed man standing with them, they had nothing to say against it. They ordered them to leave the council, and they conferred among themselves, "What shall we do with these men?" clear sign has been done through them. All Yerushalayim knows it, and we cannot deny it. But so that it spreads no further among the people, let us warn them to speak no more to anyone in this name. They called them in and commanded them not to speak or teach at all in the name of Yeshua. Kepha and Yohanan answered, whether it is right in the sight of Eloah to listen to you rather than to Eloah, you must judge. For we cannot stop speaking of what we have seen and heard. After further threats they released them, finding no way to punish them because of the people. For all glorified Eloah for what had happened. The man who had been healed was more than 40 years old. When they were released, they went to their own people and reported all that the chief priests and elders had said. When they heard it, they lifted their voice together to Eloah. Sovereign Adonai, you made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them. You spoke by the Ruach HaKodesh through the mouth of our father David. Why did the nations rage and the peoples imagine empty things? Now, Adonai, look upon their threats and grant your servants to speak your word with all boldness, while you stretch out your hand to heal and signs and wonders are done through the name of your holy servant Yeshua. When they had prayed, the place where they were gathered was shaken. They were all filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, and they spoke the word of Eloah with boldness. The multitude of believers were of one heart and one soul. No one claimed that anything he possessed was his own, but they held all things in common with great power. The emissaries gave witness to the resurrection of the Master Yeshua, and great grace was upon them all. There was no needy one among them, for those who owned lands or houses sold them, brought the proceeds and laid them at the feet of the emissaries. It was distributed to each as anyone had need. Joseph, a Levite from Cyprus, whom the emissaries called Barnabas, meaning son of encouragement, sold a field he owned, brought the money, and laid it at their feet. Acts chapter 5. A man named Ananias, with his wife Sapphira, sold a possession. He kept back part of the price, and his wife knew of it. He brought a portion and laid it at the feet of the emissaries. But Kepha said, Ananias, why has the adversary filled your heart to lie to the Ruach HaKodesh and keep back part of the price of the land? While it remained, was it not yours? After it was sold, was it not in your authority? Why have you placed this matter in your heart? You have not lied to men, but to Eloah. When Ananias heard these words, he fell down and breathed his last. Great fear came upon all who heard. The young men rose, wrapped him, carried him out, and buried him. About 3 hours later his wife came in, not knowing what had happened. Kepha said to her, tell me whether you sold the land for this amount. She said, yes, for that amount. Kepha said, how is it that you agreed together to test the Ruach of Adonai? Behold, The feet of those who buried your husband are at the door, and they will carry you out." Immediately she fell at his feet and breathed her last. The young men came in, found her dead, and carried her out to bury her beside her husband. Great fear came upon the whole assembly and upon all who heard these things. By the hands of the emissaries, many signs and wonders were done among the people. They were all with one heart in Shlomo's portico. The people held them in high honor, though others did not dare join themselves lightly to them. More and more believers were added to Adonai, multitudes of men and women. They even carried the sick into the streets, laying them on mats and beds, so that as Kepha passed by, at least his shadow might fall on some of them. Crowds also came from the towns around Jerusalem, bringing the sick and those tormented by unclean spirits, and they were all healed. The high priest rose up, and all who were with him, that is, the sect of the Tisadukim. They were filled with jealousy. They laid hands on the emissaries and put them in the public prison. But during the night, a messenger of Adonai opened the prison doors, brought them out, and said, "Go, stand in the temple, and speak to the people all the words of this life." At daybreak they entered the temple and taught. When the council gathered, they sent to the prison to have them brought. But the officers came back and said, "We found the prison securely shut, and the guards standing at the doors. But when we opened, we found no one inside." Then someone came and said, "Look, the men you put in prison are standing in the temple and teaching the people." The captain went with the officers and brought them, but not violently, for they feared the people. They set them before the council. The high priest said, "We strictly charged you not to teach in this name, yet you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching, and you intend to bring this man's blood upon us." Kepha and the emissaries answered, "We must obey Eloah rather than men. The Eloah of our fathers raised Yeshua, whom you killed by hanging him on a tree. Eloah exalted him at his right hand as Prince and Savior, to give repentance to Israel and forgiveness of sins. We are witnesses of these things, and so is the Ruach HaKodesh, whom Eloah has given to those who obey him." When they heard this, they were cut to the heart and wanted to kill them. But a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a teacher of Torah honored by all the people, stood in the council. He commanded that the men be put outside for a little while. He said, "Men of Israel, take care what you intend to do with these men. If this counsel or work is from men, it will fall apart. But if it is from Eloah, you will not be able to overthrow them. You may even be found fighting against Eloah." They agreed with him. They called the emissaries, beat them, charged them not to speak in the name of Yeshua, and released them. They departed from the council rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer dishonor for his name. And and every day, in the temple and from house to house, they did not cease teaching and proclaiming Yeshua, the Messiah. Acts chapter 6. In those days, as the number of the disciples multiplied, a complaint arose from the Hellenists against the Hebrews, because their widows were being overlooked in the daily service. The 12 summoned the multitude of disciples and said, "It is not fitting that we should leave the word of Eloah to serve tables. Therefore, brothers, choose from among you 7 men of good testimony, full of the Ruach and of wisdom, whom we may appoint over this need. But we will give ourselves continually to prayer and to the service of the word." The saying pleased the whole multitude. They chose Stephen, a man full of faith and the Ruach HaKodesh, and Philip, Prochorus, Nicanor, Timon, Parmenas, and Nicholas, a proselyte from Antioch. They set them before the emissaries. When they had prayed, they laid hands on them. The word of Eloah increased. The number of disciples multiplied greatly in Jerusalem, and a great many of the Kohanim became obedient to the faith. Stephen, full of grace and power, did great wonders and signs among the people. But some rose up from the synagogue called the Freedmen, with men from Cyrene, Alexandria, Cilicia, and Asia. They disputed with Stephen, but they could not withstand the wisdom and the Ruach by which he spoke. Then they secretly stirred up men who said, "We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moshe and against Eloah." They stirred up the people, the elders and the scribes. They came upon him, seized him, and brought him before the council. They set up false witnesses who said, "This man does not cease speaking words against this holy place and the Torah. We have heard him say that this Yeshua of Nazareth will destroy this place and change the customs handed down to us by Moshe." All who sat in the council fixed their eyes on him. They saw his face, like the face of a messenger. Acts chapter 7. The Kohen Gadol asked, "Are these things so?" Stephen said, "Brothers and fathers, listen. The law of glory appeared to our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia. Before he lived in Haran, he said, 'Go out from your land and from your kindred, and come into the land that I will show you.' Then Abraham came out from the land of the Chaldeans and lived in Haran. After his father died, Eloah brought him into this land where you now dwell. He gave him no inheritance in it, not even enough to set his foot upon. Yet he promised to give it to him as a possession, and to his seed after him, though he had no child." Eloah spoke in this way. His seed would be strangers in a foreign land. They would be enslaved and mistreated 400 years. But I will judge the nation they serve, Eloah said, and after that they shall come out and worship me in this place. He gave Abraham the covenant of circumcision. So Abraham became father of Yitzhak, and circumcised him on the 8th day. Yitzhak became father of Yaakov, and Yaakov of the 12 patriarchs. books. The patriarchs, filled with jealousy, sold Joseph into Egypt. But Eloah was with him. He delivered him from all his afflictions and gave him favor and wisdom before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, who made him ruler over Egypt and over all his house. A famine came over all Egypt and Canaan, in great distress. Our fathers found no food. When Yaakov heard there was grain in Egypt, he sent our fathers the first time. At the second time, Joseph made himself known to his brothers, and Joseph's family became known to Pharaoh. Joseph sent and called his father Yaakov to come to him, with all his kindred, 75 souls. Yaakov went down into Egypt, and he died there, and so did our fathers. They were carried back to Shechem and laid in the tomb that Abraham had bought from the sons of Hamor. Acts chapter 7. As the time of the promise drew near, which Eloah had sworn to Abraham, the people increased and multiplied in Egypt, until another king arose who did not know Joseph. He dealt craftily with our people and mistreated our fathers, forcing them to expose their infants so they would not live. At that time Moshe was born, and he was beautiful before Eloah. For 3 months he was nourished in his father's house. When he was placed outside, Pharaoh's daughter took him and raised him as her own son. Moshe was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he was mighty in words and deeds. When he was 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his brothers, the children of Israel. Seeing one of them wronged, he defended him and avenged the oppressed man, striking the Egyptian. He supposed his brothers would understand that Eloah was giving them deliverance by his hand, but they did not understand. The next day he appeared as 2 of them were fighting and urged them to peace. Men, you are brothers. Why do you wrong one another? But the one who wronged his neighbor pushed him away and said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Do you want to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" At this word Moshe fled and became a stranger in the land of Midian, where he became father of 2 sons. After 40 years had passed, a messenger of Adonai appeared to him in the wilderness of Mount Sinai, in the flame of fire in a bush. Moshe saw it and marveled as he drew near to look. The voice of Adonai came, "I am the law of your fathers, the law of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov." Moshe trembled and dared not look. Adonai said to him, "Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. I have surely seen the affliction of my people in Egypt. I have heard their groaning, and I have come down to deliver them. Now come, I will send you to Egypt." This Moshe, whom they rejected, saying, "Who made you ruler and judge?" This same man Eloah sent as ruler and deliverer, by the hand of the messenger who appeared in the bush. Moshe brought them out, doing wonders and signs in Egypt at the Sea of Reeds, and in the wilderness 40 years. This is the Moshe who said to the children of Israel, Eloah will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your brothers. He was in the assembly in the wilderness with the messenger who spoke to him on Mount Sinai, and with our fathers. He received living words to give to us, yet our fathers refused to obey him. They pushed him away, and in their hearts they turned back to Egypt, saying to Aaron, make us gods who will go before us. They made a calf in those days, brought sacrifice to the idol, and rejoiced in the works of their hands. But Eloah turned away and gave them over to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the prophets. Our fathers had the tent of witness in the wilderness, made according to the pattern Moshe had seen. They brought it in with Yehoshua when they took possession of the nations. It remained until the days of David, who found favor before Eloah and asked to find a dwelling for the Eloah of Yaakov. But Shlomo built him a house. Yet the Most High does not dwell in houses made by hands. Heaven is my throne, and earth is the footstool of my feet. What house will you build for me, says Adonai? Did not my hand make all these things? Stiff-necked people, uncircumcised in heart and ears. You always resist the Ruach HaKodesh, as your fathers did. So do you. Which of the prophets did your fathers not persecute? They killed those who foretold the coming of the righteous one, whom you have now betrayed and murdered. You received the Torah by the direction of messengers, and did not keep it. When they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed their teeth at him. But Stephen, full of the Ruach HaKodesh, gazed into heaven and saw the glory of Eloah, and Yeshua standing at the right hand of Eloah. He said, behold, I see the heavens opened, and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of Eloah. They cried out with a loud voice, stopped their ears, and rushed upon him together. They cast him out of the city and stoned him. The witnesses laid their garments at the feet of a young man named Saul. As they were stoning Stephen, he called out, Master Yeshua, receive my spirit. Falling to his knees, he cried with a loud voice, Adonai, do not hold this sin against them. When he had said this, he fell asleep, and Saul approved of his death. Acts chapter 8. On that day a great persecution arose against the assembly in Jerusalem. All were scattered throughout the regions of Yehuda and Shomron, except the emissaries. Devout men buried Stephen and made great lamentation over him. But Saul ravaged the assembly, entering house after house. He dragged off men and women and committed them to prison. Those who were scattered went everywhere, proclaiming the word. Philip went down to a city of Shomron and proclaimed the Messiah to them. The crowds gave heed with one heart to what Philip said, hearing and seeing the signs he did. Unclean spirits came out of many with loud cries, and many who were paralyzed or lame were healed. There was great joy in that city. A certain man named Simon had practiced sorcery in the city, and amazed the people of Shomron, saying that he himself was someone great. They all paid attention to him, from the least to the greatest, saying, "This man is the great power of Eloah." They followed him because for a long time he had amazed them with sorcery. But when they believed Philip, as he proclaimed good news concerning the kingdom of Eloah, in the name of Yeshua the Messiah, they were immersed, both men and women. Simon himself also believed. And after he was immersed, he continued with Philip, seeing signs and great wonders, and he was amazed. When the emissaries in Jerusalem heard that Shomron had received the word of Eloah, they sent Kepha and Yohanan to them. They came down and prayed for them, that they might receive the Ruach HaKodesh, for he had not yet fallen on any of them. They had only been immersed in the name of the Master Yeshua. Then they laid hands on them, and they received the Ruach HaKodesh. When Simon saw that the Ruach was given through the laying on of the emissaries' hands, he offered them money, saying, "Give me this authority also, that anyone on whom I lay hands may receive the Ruach HaKodesh." Kepha said to him, "May your silver perish with you, because you thought the gift of Eloah could be purchased with money. You have no part or share in this matter, for your heart is not right before Eloah. Repent, therefore, of this wickedness and pray to Adonai, that the intention of your heart may be forgiven you." Simon answered, "Pray for me to Adonai, that none of these things you have spoken may come upon me." After they had testified and spoken the word of Adonai, Kepha and Yohanan returned to Jerusalem, proclaiming the good news in many villages of Shomron. A messenger of Adonai spoke to Philip, "Rise and go south, to the road that descends from Jerusalem to Gaza, the desert road." Philip rose and went. Behold, an Ethiopian man, a court official of Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who had charge of all her treasure, had come to Jerusalem to worship. He was returning, sitting in his chariot, reading the prophet Yeshayahu. The Ruach said to Philip, "Go near and join yourself to this chariot." Philip ran to him and heard him reading Yeshayahu the prophet. He said, "Do you understand what you are reading?" The man replied, "How can I, unless someone guides me?" He invited Philip to come up and sit with him. The passage he read was this: "Like a sheep he was led to the slaughter, and like a lamb silent before its shearer. So he did not open his mouth, and his humiliation justice was taken away. Who shall speak of his generation? For his life is taken from the earth." The official asked, "Tell me, of whom does the prophet speak? Of himself or of someone else?" Philip opened his mouth, and beginning from this scripture, he proclaimed to him Yeshua. As they went along the road, they came to water. The official said, "Look, water. What prevents me from being immersed?" He commanded the chariot to stop. They both went down into the water, Philip and the official, and Philip immersed him when they came up out of the water. The Ruach of Adonai carried Philip away. The official saw him no more, and went on his way rejoicing. Philip was found at Ashdod, and passing through, he proclaimed the good news to all the cities until he came to Caesarea. Acts chapter 9. Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of Adonai, went to the high priest. He asked for letters to the synagogues of Damascus, so that if he found any who belonged to the way, men or women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. As he traveled and drew near to Damascus, suddenly a light from heaven shone around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" He said, "Who are you, Master?" The voice said, "I am Yeshua, whom you are persecuting. Rise and enter the city, and you will be told what you must do." The men traveling with him stood speechless, hearing the voice, but seeing no one. Saul rose from the ground, and when his eyes were opened, he saw nothing. They led him by the hand into Damascus. For 3 days he was without sight, and he neither ate nor drank. Now there was a disciple in Damascus named Ananias. Adonai said to him in a vision, "Ananias." He answered, "Here I am, Adonai." Adonai said, "Rise and go to the street called Straight in the house of Yehuda. Ask for a man of Tarsus named Saul, for behold, he is praying. He has seen in a vision a man named Ananias come in and lay hands on him, that he might receive his sight." Ananias answered, "Adonai, I have heard from many about this man, how much evil he has done to your holy ones in Jerusalem. Here he has authority from the chief priests to bind all who call on your name." But Adonai said to him, "Go, for he is a chosen vessel to me, to carry my name before nations, kings, and the children of Israel. I will show him how much he must suffer for my name." Ananias departed and entered the house. Laying his hands on Saul, he said, "Brother Saul, the Master Yeshua, who appeared to you on the road by which you came, has sent me that you may receive your sight and be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh." Immediately something like scales fell from his eyes, and he received sight. He rose and was immersed. After taking food, he was strengthened. For several days he was with the disciples in Damascus. Immediately he proclaimed Yeshua in the synagogues, saying, "He is the Son of Elohim." All who heard him were amazed and said, "Is not this the man who destroyed those in Jerusalem who called on this name? Did he not come here to bring them bound before the chief priests?" But Saul increased all the more in strength, confounding the Jewish people who lived in Damascus, proving that Yeshua is the Messiah. After many days, some plotted to kill him. Their plot became known to Saul. They watched the gates day and night to kill him, but his disciples took him by night and let him down through the wall in a basket. When he came to Jerusalem, he tried to join the disciples, but they were all afraid of him, not believing that he was a disciple. Barnabas took him, brought him to the emissaries, and told them how Saul had seen Adonai on the road, how he had spoken to him, and how in Damascus he had spoken boldly in the name of Yeshua. Saul went in and out among them in Jerusalem, speaking boldly in the name of Adonai. He spoke and disputed with the Hellenists, but they sought to kill him. When the brothers learned this, they brought him down to Caesarea and sent him away to Tarsus. So the assemblies throughout Yehuda, Galilee, and Shomron had peace. They were built up, walking in the fear of Adonai and in the comfort of the Ruach HaKodesh. And they multiplied. As Kepha traveled through all the region, he came down also to the holy ones who lived at Lod. There he found a man named Ananias, who had been bedridden 8 years, for he was paralyzed. Kepha said to him, Ananias, Yeshua the Messiah heals you. Rise and make your bed. Immediately he rose. All who lived in Lod and Sharon saw him, and they turned to Adonai. In Yaffo, there was a disciple named Tabitha, which translated means Dorcas. She was full of good works and acts of mercy. In those days she became sick and died. When they had washed her, they laid her in an upper room. Since Lod was near Yaffo, and the disciples heard that Kepha was there, they sent 2 men to him, urging him, do not delay in coming to us. Kepha rose and went with them. When he arrived, they brought him into the upper room. All the widows stood beside him weeping, showing tunics and garments that Dorcas had made while she was with them. Kepha put them all outside. He knelt down and prayed. Turning to the body, he said, Tabitha, rise. She opened her eyes. When she saw Kepha, she sat up. He gave her his hand and raised her, calling the holy ones and the widows. He presented her alive. This became known throughout all Yaffo, and many believed in Adonai. Kepha remained many days in Yaffo with a tanner named Shimon. Acts chapter 10. In Caesarea there was a man named Cornelius, a centurion of the Italian cohort. He was devout, and he feared Elohim with all his household. He gave much mercy to the people and prayed to Elohim continually. About the 9th hour of the day, he saw clearly in a vision a messenger of Elohim coming to him and saying, Cornelius. He looked intently at him, afraid, and said, What is it, Lord? The messenger said, Your prayers and your acts of mercy have risen as a memorial before Elohim. Now send men to Yaffo and call for Shimon, who is also called Kepha. He is lodging with Shimon the tanner whose house is by the sea. When the messenger departed, Cornelius called 2 of his servants, and a devout soldier from those who attended him. He explained everything to them and sent them to Jaffa. The next day, as they were on the journey and drew near the city, Kepha went up on the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. He became hungry and desired to eat, but while they were preparing, a trance came upon him. He saw heaven opened, and something like a great sheet descending, being lowered by its 4 corners to the earth. In it were all kinds of 4-footed animals, creeping things of the earth and birds of the sky. A voice came to him, "Rise, Kepha, kill and eat." Kepha said, "No, Adonai, for I have never eaten anything common or unclean." The voice came again a second time, "What Eloah has cleansed, do not call common." This happened 3 times, and the vessel was taken up into heaven. While Kepha was inwardly perplexed about what the vision might mean, the men sent by Cornelius stood at the gate, asking whether Shimon called Kepha was lodging there. The Ruach said to him, "Behold, 3 men are seeking you. Rise, go down, and go with them without doubting, for I have sent them." Acts chapter 10. Kepha went down to the men and said, "I am the one you seek. Why have you come?" They said, "Cornelius the centurion, a righteous man who fears Eloah and is well spoken of by the whole Jewish nation, was directed by a holy messenger to summon you to his house and hear words from you." Kepha invited them in as guests. The next day he rose and went with them, and some brothers from Jaffa accompanied him. The following day he entered Caesarea. Cornelius was waiting for them, having called together his relatives and close friends. When Kepha entered, Cornelius met him, fell at his feet and worshipped. But Kepha lifted him up, saying, "Stand up, I myself am also a man." He found many gathered and said, "You know it is not customary for a Jewish man to join himself to a foreigner or enter his home. But Eloah has shown me that I should call no man common or unclean. So when I was sent for, I came without objection." Cornelius told him of the vision and said, "Now we are all here before Eloah to hear all that you have been commanded by Adonai." Kepha opened his mouth and said, "Truly I understand that Eloah does not show partiality in every nation. The one who fears him and does righteousness is acceptable to him. You know the word he sent to the children of Israel, proclaiming peace through Yeshua the Messiah. He is Lord of all. You know what happened throughout Yehuda, beginning from the Galilee after the immersion Yohanan proclaimed. How Eloah anointed Yeshua of Nazareth with the Ruach HaKodesh and with power. He went about doing good and healing all oppressed by the adversary, for Eloah was with him. We are witnesses of all he did. They killed him by hanging him on a tree. But Eloah raised him on the 3rd day and allowed him to be seen, not by all the people, but by witnesses chosen beforehand, by us who ate and drank with him after he rose from the dead." everyone who believes in him receives forgiveness of sins through his name. While Kepha was still speaking these words, the Ruach HaKodesh fell on all who heard. The believers from the circumcision were amazed, because the gift of the Ruach had been poured out also on the nations. They heard them speaking in tongues and magnifying Elohim. Kepha said, "Can anyone withhold water, that these should not be immersed, who received the Ruach HaKodesh as we did?" He commanded them to be immersed in the name of Yeshua the Messiah. Then they asked him to remain several days. Acts chapter 11. The emissaries and the brothers in Yehuda heard that the nations also had received the word of Elohim. When Kepha came up to Jerusalem, those of the circumcision disputed with him, saying, "You entered the house of uncircumcised men and ate with them." Kepha began and explained everything in order. He told them of the vision in Yaffo, the sheet let down from heaven, the voice that said, "What Elohim has cleansed, do not call common." He told them of the 3 men from Caesarea, of the Ruach commanding him to go without doubting, and of Cornelius, who had seen a messenger in his house. As I began to speak, Kepha said, "The Ruach HaKodesh fell on them, just as on us at the beginning." Then I remembered the word of Adonai, Yohanan immersed with water, but you shall be immersed in the Ruach HaKodesh. If Elohim gave them the same gift as he gave us when we believed in the Master Yeshua the Messiah, who was I, that I could stand in Elohim's way? When they heard this, they became silent. Then they glorified Elohim, saying, "Then to the nations also Elohim has granted repentance unto life." Those scattered because of the persecution that arose over Stephen traveled as far as Phoenicia, Cyprus, and Antioch, speaking the word to no one except Jews. But some men of Cyprus and Cyrene, coming to Antioch, spoke also to the Greeks, proclaiming the Master Yeshua. The hand of Adonai was with them, and a great number believed and turned to Adonai. The report came to the ears of the assembly in Jerusalem, and they sent Barnabas to Antioch. When he came and saw the grace of Elohim, he rejoiced and encouraged them all to remain faithful to Adonai with steadfast heart. He was a good man, full of the Ruach HaKodesh and faith, and many were added to Adonai. Barnabas went to Tarsus to seek Saul. When he found him, he brought him to Antioch. For a whole year they met with the assembly and taught many people. In Antioch, the disciples were first called Christians. Prophets came down from Jerusalem. One named Agabus stood and signified by the Ruach that a great famine would come over all the world. The disciples determined, each according to his ability, to send relief to the brothers living in Yehuda. They did this, sending it to the elders by the hands of Barnabas and Saul. Acts chapter 12. About that time Herod the king stretched out his hands to harm some from the assembly. He killed Yaakov, the brother of Yohanan, with the sword. When he saw that it pleased certain leaders, he proceeded to seize Kepha also. It was during the days of unleavened bread. He put him in prison, delivering him to 4 squads of soldiers to guard him, intending after Pesach to bring him out to the people. So Kepha was kept in prison, but earnest prayer for him was made to Eloah by the assembly. On the night before Herod was to bring him out, Kepha was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains, and guards stood before the door. Behold, a messenger of Adonai stood there, and light shone in the cell. He struck Kepha on the side and woke him, saying, "Rise quickly." The chains fell from his hands. The messenger said, "Dress yourself and put on your sandals. Wrap your cloak around you and follow me." Kepha went out and followed, not knowing that what was being done by the messenger was real. He thought he was seeing a vision. They passed the first and second guard and came to the iron gate leading into the city. It opened for them of its own accord. They went out, and after one street, the messenger departed from him. Kepha came to himself and said, "Now I know truly that Adonai has sent his messenger and delivered me from the hand of Herod and from all the expectation of the people." He went to the house of Miriam, the mother of Johanan called Mark, where many were gathered praying. A servant girl named Rhoda came to answer, recognizing Kepha's voice. She was so glad that she did not open the gate, but ran in and announced that Kepha stood outside. They said, "You are out of your mind." But she insisted. They said, "It is his messenger." Kepha kept knocking. When they opened, they saw him and were amazed. He motioned with his hand for silence and told how Adonai had brought him out of prison. Then he said, "Tell these things to Yaakov and to the brothers." And he departed to another place. Herod searched for him and did not find him. After examining the guards, he commanded that they be led away. Later Herod sat on his throne, wearing royal robes, and delivered an address. The people shouted, "The voice of a God and not of a man." Immediately a messenger of Adonai struck him, because he did not give glory to Eloah. He was consumed, and he died. But the word of Eloah grew and multiplied. Barnabas and Saul returned from Jerusalem, fulfilling their service. And they took with them Johanan called Mark. Acts chapter 13. In the assembly at Antioch there were prophets and teachers: Barnabas, Shimon, also known by a Roman surname, Lucius of Cyrene, Manaen, who had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch, and Saul. As they served Adonai and fasted, the Ruach HaKodesh said, "Set apart for me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I have called them." After fasting and praying, they laid hands on them and sent them away. So they were sent out by the Ruach HaKodesh. They went down to Seleucia, and from there sailed to Cyprus. At Salamis they proclaimed the word of Eloah in the synagogues of the Jewish people. Johanan Mark was with them as helper. They passed through the whole island to Paphos, where they found a man named Bar Yeshua, a deceiving prophet and magician, who was with Sergius Paulus, the proconsul, an intelligent man. The proconsul summoned Barnabas and Saul and sought to hear the word of Eloah. But Elymas the magician resisted them, seeking to turn the proconsul away from the faith. Shaul, who is also called Paul, filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, fixed his eyes on him and said, "You are full of deceit, and you bend what is straight. You stand against the ways of righteousness. Will you not stop twisting the straight paths of Adonai? Now the hand of Adonai is upon you, and for a time you will not see the light of the sun." Immediately a mist and shadow came over him, and he went about seeking someone to lead him by the hand. Then the proconsul believed, being astonished at the teaching of Adonai. Paul and his companions sailed from Paphos to Perga in Pamphylia. Johann and Mark left them and returned to Jerusalem. But they continued from Perga and came to Antioch in Pisidia. On the Shabbat, they entered the synagogue and sat down. After the reading of the Torah and the prophets, the rulers of the synagogue sent to them, saying, "Brothers, if you have any word of encouragement for the people, speak." Paul stood with a motion of his hand and said, "Men of Israel, and you who fear Eloah, listen. The Eloah of this people Israel chose our fathers, and exalted the people while they lived as strangers in Egypt. With an uplifted arm he brought them out. For about 40 years he carried them in the wilderness. After destroying 7 nations in the land of Canaan, he gave them their land as an inheritance. After that he gave judges until Shmuel the prophet. Then they asked for a king. And Eloah gave them Shaul son of Kish, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, for 40 years. When he removed him, he raised up David to be their king, of whom he testified, "I have found David son of Yishai, a man after my heart, who will do all my will." From this man's seed, according to promise, Eloah brought to Israel a Savior, Yeshua. Before his coming, Johanan had proclaimed an immersion of repentance to all the people of Israel. As Johanan was finishing his course, he said, "I am not the one you think I am. Behold, one is coming after me, the sandals of whose feet I am not worthy to untie." Brothers, sons of the family of Abraham, and those among you who fear Eloah, to us the word of this salvation has been sent, those who dwell in Jerusalem and their rulers, because they did not recognize him, nor the voices of the prophets read every Shabbat fulfilled them by condemning him. Though they found no cause of death, they asked Pilate to have him killed. When they had fulfilled all that was written of him, they took him down from the tree and laid him in a tomb. But Eloah raised him from the dead. For many days he appeared to those who came up with him, from the Galilee to Jerusalem, and they are now his witnesses to the people. We bring you good news. What Eloah promised to the fathers, he has fulfilled to us their children by raising Yeshua. Through this man forgiveness of sins is proclaimed to you. By him everyone who believes is made right from all things from which you could not be made right through the Torah of Moshe. When they went out, the people begged that these words be spoken to them the next Shabbat. Many followed Paul and Barnabas, who urged them to continue in the grace of Eloah. The next Shabbat, almost the whole city gathered to hear the word of Adonai. Some were filled with jealousy and opposed what Paul said. Paul and Barnabas spoke boldly. It was necessary that the word of Eloah be spoken first to you. since you thrust it aside. Return to the nations, for Adonai has commanded us. I have set you as a light for the nations, that you should bring salvation to the ends of the earth. The nations rejoiced and glorified the word of Adonai. As many as were appointed to life believed. The word of Adonai spread through the whole region. Acts chapter 14. In Iconium, Paul and Barnabas entered the synagogue together and spoke in such a way that a great multitude of Jews and Greeks believed. But unbelieving leaders stirred up the nations and poisoned their minds against the brothers. So they remained a long time, speaking boldly for Adonai, who bore witness to the word of his grace by granting signs and wonders through their hands. The city was divided. Some sided with the Jewish leaders and some with the emissaries. When a violent attempt was made to mistreat and stone them, they learned of it and fled to Lystra and Derbe, cities of Lycaonia, and to the surrounding region. There they proclaimed the good news. In Lystra, a man sat unable to use his feet, lame from birth, who had never walked. He listened as Paul spoke. Paul looked intently at him, seeing that he had faith to be healed, and said with a loud voice, "Stand upright on your feet." The man sprang up and began walking. When the crowd saw what Paul had done, they lifted their voices, saying in the Lycaonian language, "The gods have come down to us in the likeness of men." They called Barnabas Zeus and Paul Hermes, because he was the chief speaker. The priest of Zeus brought oxen and garlands, wishing to offer sacrifice with the crowds. When Barnabas and Paul heard this, they tore their garments and rushed into the crowd, crying, "Men, why are you doing these things? We also are men of like nature with you. We proclaim good news, that you should turn from these empty things to the living Eloah, who made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them." Yet even with these words, they barely restrained the crowds from offering sacrifice. Then opponents came from Antioch and Iconium. They persuaded the crowd, stoned Paul, and dragged him out of the city, supposing he was dead. But when the disciples gathered around him, he rose and entered the city. The next day he went with Barnabas to Derbe. After proclaiming the good news there and making many disciples, they returned to Lystra, Iconium, and Antioch, strengthening the souls of the disciples, encouraging them to continue in the faith, and saying, "Through many troubles we must enter the kingdom of Eloah." They appointed elders in every assembly, with prayer and fasting, commending them to Adonai, in whom they had believed. Then they returned to Antioch, where they had been entrusted to the grace of Eloah, for the work now fulfilled. They gathered the assembly and reported all that Eloah had done with them, and how he had opened a door of faith to the nations. Acts chapter 15. Certain men came down from Yehuda and taught the brothers, "Unless you are circumcised according to the custom of Moshe, you cannot be saved." Paul and Barnabas had no small dispute and debate with them. The brothers appointed Paul, Barnabas, and some others to go up to Jerusalem to the emissaries and elders about this question. Passing through Phoenicia and Shomron, they described the turning of the nations and brought great joy to all the brothers when they came came to Jerusalem, they were welcomed by the assembly, the emissaries, and the elders. They reported all that Elo had done with them. But some believers from the party of the Pharisees stood up and said, "It is necessary to circumcise them, and to command them to keep the Torah of Moshe." The emissaries and elders gathered to consider the matter. After much debate, Kepha stood and said, "Brothers, you know that from early days Elo chose among you that by my mouth the nations should hear the word of the good news and believe. Elo, who knows the heart, bore witness to them by giving them the Ruach HaKodesh, just as he did to us. He made no distinction between us and them, cleansing their hearts by faith. Now then, why do you test Elo by placing a yoke on the neck of the disciples that neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? We believe that through the grace of the Master Yeshua, we shall be saved, just as they are." The whole assembly became silent, and they listened to Barnabas and Paul declare what signs and wonders Elo had done among the nations through them. After they finished, Yaakov answered, "Brothers, listen to me. Shimon has described how Elo first visited the nations to take from them a people for his name. With this the words of the prophets agree. As it is written, after these things I will return, and I will rebuild the fallen tent of David. I will rebuild its ruins, and I will raise it up, that the remnant of mankind may seek Adonai, and all the nations who are called by my name." Therefore Yaakov said, "My judgment is that we should not trouble those from the nations who are turning to Elo, but we should write to them to abstain from the pollution of idols, from sexual immorality, from what is strangled, and from blood, for Moshe from ancient generations has in every city those who proclaim him, being read in the synagogues every Shabbat." Then it seemed good to the emissaries, the elders, and the whole assembly to choose men from among them, and send them to Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, Yehuda called Barsabbas, and Silas, leading men among the brothers. They wrote by their hand, "The emissaries and elders, your brothers, to the brothers from the nations in Antioch, Syria, and Cilicia, Shalom. Since we have heard that some went out from us, and troubled you with words, though we gave them no command, it seemed good to us, having come to one accord, to choose men and send them to you with our beloved Barnabas and Paul, men who have risked their lives for the name of our Master Yeshua the Messiah. It seemed good to the Ruach HaKodesh and to us to lay upon you no greater burden than these necessary things, that you abstain from things sacrificed to idols, from blood, from what is strangled, and from sexual immorality. If you keep yourselves from these, you will do well. Farewell." They went down to Antioch, gathered the multitude, and delivered the letter. When the people read it, they rejoiced for the encouragement. Yehuda and Silas, being prophets, encouraged and strengthened the brothers with many words. After some time, Paul said to Barnabas, "Let us return and visit the brothers in every city where we proclaim the word of Adonai." Barnabas wanted to take Johann and Mark, but Paul thought it not wise, because he had withdrawn from them in Pamphylia. A sharp disagreement arose, so they separated. Barnabas took Mark and sailed to Cyprus. Paul chose Silas and departed, commended by the brothers to the grace of Adonai. He went through Syria and Cilicia, strengthening the assemblies. Acts chapter 16. Paul came also to Derbe and to Lystra. There was a disciple named Timothy, son of a believing Jewish woman, but his father was Greek. The brothers in Lystra and Iconium spoke well of him. Paul wanted Timothy to go with him, and he took him and circumcised him because of the Jewish people in those places, for all knew his father was Greek. As they went through the cities, they delivered the decisions reached by the emissaries and elders in Jerusalem. So the assemblies were strengthened in the faith and increased in number daily. They passed through the region of Phrygia and Galatia, having been forbidden by the Ruach HaKodesh to speak the word in Asia. When they came near Mysia, they tried to go into Bithynia, but the Ruach of Yeshua did not allow them. Passing by Mysia, they came down to Troas. During the night a vision appeared to Paul. A man of Macedonia stood pleading, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." After Paul saw the vision, we sought to go into Macedonia at once, concluding that Elo had called us to proclaim the good news to them. We sailed from Troas, made a straight course to Samothrace, and the next day to Neapolis, then to Philippi, a leading city of that district of Macedonia, a Roman colony. We remained in that city some days. On the Shabbat, we went outside the gate by the river, where we supposed there was a place of prayer. We sat and spoke to the women gathered there. A woman named Lydia, a seller of purple cloth from Thyatira, who worshipped Elo, was listening. Adonai opened her heart to pay attention to what Paul said. When she and her household were immersed, she urged us, "If you have judged me faithful to Adonai, come to my house and stay." She persuaded us. Acts chapter. As we were going to the place of prayer, a slave girl with a spirit of divination met us. She brought her owners much profit by fortune-telling. She followed Paul and us, crying, "These men are servants of the Most High Lord, who proclaim to you the way of salvation." She did this for many days. Paul, greatly troubled, turned and said to the Spirit, "I command you in the name of Yeshua the Messiah to come out of her." And it came out that very hour. When her owners saw that their hope of profit was gone, they seized Paul and Silas and dragged them into the marketplace before the rulers. The crowd rose against them, and the magistrates tore off their garments and ordered them beaten with rods. After many blows, they threw them into prison commanding the jailer to keep them securely. He put them in the inner prison and fastened their feet in the stocks. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing praise to the Lord, and the prisoners were listening. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken. Immediately all the doors were opened and everyone's chains were loosened. The jailer woke, saw the prison doors open, and drew his sword to kill himself, supposing the prisoners had escaped. But Paul cried with a loud voice, "Do yourself no harm, for we are all here." The jailer called for lights, rushed in, and trembling fell before Paul and Silas. He brought them out and said, "Masters, what must I do to be saved?" "Believe in the Master Yeshua, and you will be saved, you and your household." They spoke the word of Adonai to him and to all who were in his house. He took them that same hour of the night and washed their wounds. He was immersed at once, he and all his household. He brought them into his house, set food before them, and rejoiced greatly, having believed in Eloah with all his household. In the morning the magistrates sent word to release them, but Paul said, "They have beaten us publicly, uncondemned, men who are Roman citizens, and have thrown us into prison. Now do they send us out secretly? No, let them come themselves and bring us out." The magistrates were afraid when they heard they were Romans. They came and apologized, brought them out, and asked them to leave the city. Paul and Silas went to Lydia's house, encouraged the brothers, and departed. Acts chapter 17. Passing through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where there was a synagogue of the Jewish people, as was his custom. Paul went in, and for 3 Shabbatot he reasoned with them from the scriptures, explaining and proving that the Messiah had to suffer and rise from the dead. He said, "This Yeshua whom I proclaim to you is the Messiah." Some were persuaded, joining Paul and Silas, along with many devout Greeks and not a few leading women. But others became jealous. They gathered wicked men from the marketplace, formed a mob, and set the city in an uproar. They attacked the house of Jason, seeking to bring them out to the people. When they did not find them, they dragged Jason and some brothers before the city rulers, crying, "These men who have turned the world upside down have come here also." Jason has received them, and they all act against Caesar's decrees, saying there is another king, Yeshua. The city was troubled after taking security from Jason and the others. They let them go. The brothers immediately sent Paul and Silas away by night to Berea. When they arrived, they went into the synagogue. The Bereans were more noble-minded than those in Thessalonica. They received the word with eagerness, searching the scriptures daily to see whether these things were so. Therefore many of them believed, including honorable Greek women and many men. When opponents from Thessalonica learned that the word of Eloah was proclaimed by Paul in Berea, They came there also, agitating the crowds. The brothers sent Paul away to the sea, but Silas and Timothy remained. Those who escorted Paul brought him as far as Athens, receiving command for Silas and Timothy to come to him quickly. Acts chapter 17. While Paul waited in Athens, his spirit was stirred within him when he saw the city full of idols. So he reasoned in the synagogue with the Jewish people and those who worshipped Eloah, and in the marketplace every day with those who met him. Some Epicurean and Stoic philosophers disputed with him. They said, "What does this babbler want to say?" Others said, "He seems to proclaim foreign gods because he preached Yeshua and the resurrection." They took him to the Areopagus and said, "May we know what this new teaching is? For you bring strange things to our ears. We want to know what these things mean." Paul stood in the midst of the Areopagus and said, "Men of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. As I passed along and observed the objects of your worship, I found an altar with this inscription: To an unknown God. What you worship without knowing, this I proclaim to you. The Eloah who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in temples made with hands, nor is he served by human hands, as though he needed anything, for he himself gives to all life, breath, and all things. He made from one blood every nation of mankind, to dwell on all the face of the earth, having determined appointed times and the boundaries of their dwelling, that they should seek Eloah, perhaps feel their way toward him and find him. Yet he is not far from each one of us. In him we live and move and have our being. Since we are the offspring of Eloah, we should not think the divine is like gold, silver, or stone, formed by art and human imagination. The times of ignorance Eloah overlooked, but now he commands all people everywhere to repent, because he has fixed a day in which he will judge the world in righteousness, by the man he has appointed. And of this he has given assurance to all, by raising him from the dead. When they heard of resurrection from the dead, some mocked, but others said, "We will hear you again about this." Some joined him and believed, including Dionysius the Areopagite, a woman named Damaris, and others with them. Acts chapter 18. After this, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth. He found a Jewish man named Aquila, a native of Pontus, recently come from Italy with his wife Priscilla. Because Claudius had ordered all Jews to leave Rome, Paul went to them. And because he was of the same trade, he stayed and worked with them, for they were tent makers. Every Shabbat he reasoned in the synagogue, persuading Jews and Greeks. When Silas and Timothy came from Macedonia, Paul was pressed in the word, testifying to the Jewish people that Yeshua is the Messiah. When they opposed and reviled him, He shook out his garments and said, "Your blood be on your own heads, I am clean. From now on I will go to the nations." He left there and went to the house of Titius Justus, a worshipper of Eloah, whose house was next to the synagogue. Crispus, the ruler of the synagogue, believed in Adonai with all his household. Many Corinthians hearing believed and were immersed. Adonai said to Paul in the night by a vision, "Do not be afraid, but speak, and do not be silent. For I am with you, and no one will attack you to harm you, for I have many people in this city." Paul stayed 1 year and 6 months, teaching the word of Eloah among them. When Gallio was proconsul of Achaia, some rose against Paul and brought him before the judgment seat, saying, "This man persuades people to worship Eloah contrary to the Torah." But Gallio refused to judge matters of words, names, and their own law. He drove them from the judgment seat. After many days, Paul sailed for Syria with Priscilla and Aquila. He came to Ephesus and left them there. He entered the synagogue and reasoned with the Jewish people. When they asked him to stay longer, he did not consent, but said, "I will return to you if Eloah wills." He sailed to Caesarea, went up and greeted the assembly, then went down to Antioch after spending some time there. He departed and went from place to place through Galatia and Phrygia, strengthening all the disciples. Now a Jewish man named Apollos from Alexandria, an eloquent man mighty in the scriptures, came to Ephesus. He had been instructed in the way of Adonai, and being fervent in spirit, he spoke and taught accurately the things concerning Yeshua. Though he knew only the immersion of Johanan, Priscilla and Aquila heard him, took him aside, and explained to him the way of Eloah more accurately. When he desired to cross into Achaia, the brothers encouraged him. When he arrived, he greatly helped those who had believed through grace, for he powerfully refuted opponents in public, showing by the scriptures that Yeshua is the Messiah. Acts chapter 19. While Apollos was at Corinth, Paul passed through the inland country and came to Ephesus. He found some disciples and said, "Did you receive the Ruach HaKodesh when you believed?" They said, "We have not even heard that there is a Ruach HaKodesh." He said, "Into what then were you immersed?" They said, "Into Johanan's immersion." Paul said, "Johanan immersed with the immersion of repentance, telling the people to believe in the one coming after him, that is, in Yeshua." When they heard this, they were immersed in the name of the Master Yeshua. When Paul laid his hands on them, the Ruach HaKodesh came upon them, and they spoke in tongues and prophesied. There were about 12 men in all. Paul entered the synagogue and for 3 months spoke boldly, reasoning and persuading about the kingdom of Eloah. But when some became hardened and disobedient, speaking evil of the way before the multitude, he withdrew from them, took the disciples with him, and reasoned daily in the hall of Tyrannus. This continued for 2 years, so that all who lived in Asia heard the word of Adonai, both Jews and Greeks. Elo worked extraordinary miracles by the hands of Paul, so that even handkerchiefs or aprons that had touched his skin were carried to the sick, and diseases left them, and evil spirits went out. Some traveling exorcists attempted to invoke the name of the Master, Yeshua, over those who had evil spirits, saying, "I command you by the Yeshua whom Paul proclaimed." 7 sons of Sceva, a Jewish chief priest, were doing this. But the evil spirit answered, "Yeshua I know, and Paul I recognize, but who are you?" The man in whom the evil spirit was leaped on them, overpowered them all, and prevailed against them, so that they fled naked and wounded. This became known to all who lived in Ephesus. Both Jews and Greeks, fear fell upon them all, and the name of the Master Yeshua was magnified. Many who believed came confessing and declaring their deeds. Those who had practiced magic brought their books together and burned them in the sight of all. The value was counted, and it was 50,000 pieces of silver. So the word of Adonai grew mightily and prevailed. So the word of Adonai grew mightily and prevailed. After these things, Paul resolved in the Ruach to pass through Macedonia and Achaia and go to Jerusalem, saying, "After I have been there, I must also see Rome." He sent Timothy and Erastus into Macedonia, but he remained for a time in Asia. About that time a great disturbance arose concerning the way. A silversmith named Demetrius, who made silver shrines of Artemis, brought no small profit to the craftsmen. He gathered them and said, "Men, you know that from this business we have our wealth. You see and hear that not only in Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul has persuaded many people, saying that gods made with hands are not gods. There is danger not only that our trade will fall into disrepute, but also that the temple of the great Artemis will be counted as nothing." When they heard this, they were filled with rage and cried out, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." The city was filled with confusion. They rushed together into the theater, dragging Gaius and Aristarchus, Paul's companions from Macedonia. Paul wanted to go into the people, but the disciples would not allow him. Even some Asiarchs who were friends of his sent to him and urged him not to venture into the theater. Some cried one thing and some another, for the assembly was in confusion, and most did not know why they had come together. Alexander was put forward, and he motioned with his hand to make a defense. But when they recognized that he was Jewish, all cried out with one voice for about 2 hours, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." The city clerk quieted the crowd and said, "Men of Ephesus, what man does not know that this city is guardian of the temple of Artemis? Since these things cannot be denied, you ought to be quiet and do nothing rash. These men are not temple robbers or blasphemers of our goddess. If Demetrius and the craftsmen have a complaint. The courts are open. Let them bring charges. But if you seek anything further, it must be settled in the lawful assembly. After saying this, he dismissed the assembly.
Acts chapter 20.
After the uproar ceased, Paul called the disciples, encouraged them, and departed for Macedonia. When he had gone through those regions and given them much encouragement, he came to Greece. He spent 3 months there. When a plot was made against him as he was about to sail for Syria, he decided to return through Macedonia. Several companions went with him: Sopater of Berea, Aristarchus and Secundus of Thessalonica, Gaius of Derbe, Timothy, and Tychicus and Trophimus from Asia. These went ahead and waited for us at Troas. We sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread and came to them at Troas, where we stayed 7 days. On the first day of the week, when we gathered to break bread, Paul spoke to them, intending to depart the next day, and he prolonged his message until midnight. There were many lamps in the upper room where we were gathered. A young man named Eutychus sat in the window as Paul spoke still longer. Eutychus sank into deep sleep, fell down from the 3rd story, and was taken up dead. Paul went down, bent over him, and taking him in his arms said, "Do not be troubled, for his life is in him." Paul went back upstairs, broke bread and ate. He spoke with them a long while until daybreak, and then departed. They brought the boy alive, and they were greatly comforted. We went ahead to the ship and sailed for Assos, intending to take Paul aboard there, for he had arranged to go by land when he met us at Assos. We took him aboard and came to Mytilene. Sailing from there, we came opposite Chios, then to Samos, and the next day to Miletus. Paul had decided to sail past Ephesus, so that he might not spend time in Asia, for he was hastening to be in Jerusalem, if possible, on the day of Shavuot. From Miletus he sent to Ephesus and called the elders of the assembly. When the elders came to him, Paul said, "You yourselves know how I lived among you the whole time. From the first day I came into Asia, serving Adonai with all humility, with tears, and with trials that came upon me through plots. I did not shrink from declaring to you anything profitable, teaching you publicly and from house to house, testifying both to Jews and Greeks of repentance toward the law and faith toward our Master Yeshua. Now behold, bound in the Ruach, I go to Jerusalem, not knowing what will happen to me there, except that the Ruach HaKodesh testifies in every city that bonds and troubles await me. I do not count my life precious to myself, if only I may finish my course and the service I received from the Master Yeshua, to bear witness to the good news of the grace of Eloah. And now, I know that none of you among whom I went proclaiming the kingdom will see my face again. Therefore I testify to you this day that I am innocent of the blood of all, for I did not shrink from declaring to you the whole counsel of Eloah. Take heed to yourselves and to all the flock, in which the Ruach HaKodesh has made you overseers, to shepherd the assembly of Eloah, which he purchased with his own blood. I know that after my departure, fierce wolves will come in among you, not sparing the flock. From among your own selves men will arise, speaking twisted things to draw away the disciples after them. Therefore be watchful, remembering that for 3 years, night and day, I did not cease admonishing each one with tears. And now I commend you to Eloah, and to the word of his grace, which is able to build you up and give you the inheritance among all who are sanctified. I coveted no one's silver or gold or clothing. You yourselves know that these hands served my needs and those who were with me. In all things I showed you that by working hard in this way, we must help the weak and remember the words of the Master Yeshua. It is more blessed to give than to receive. When he had said these things, he knelt down and prayed with them all. They wept greatly, embraced Paul, and kissed him, grieved most of all because he had said they would not see his face again. Then they accompany him to the ship.
Acts chapter 21.
After we had torn ourselves away from them and set sail, we came by a straight course to Kos, the next day to Rhodes, and from there to Patara. Finding a ship crossing to Phoenicia, we went aboard and set sail. When Cyprus came into view, we left it on the left, sailed to Syria, and landed at Tyre, for there the ship was to unload cargo. We found the disciples and stayed there 7 days. Through the Ruach they kept telling Paul not to go up to Jerusalem. When our days were ended, we departed and went on our way, all of them, with wives and children. Accompanied us outside the city, kneeling on the shore, we prayed. Then we said farewell, boarded the ship, and they returned home. We finished the voyage from Tyre and arrived at Ptolemais. We greeted the brothers and stayed with them 1 day. The next day we departed and came to Caesarea. We entered the house of Philip the evangelist, one of the 7, and stayed with him. He had 4 unmarried daughters who prophesied. After we had been there many days, a prophet named Agabus came down from Yehuda. He took Paul's belt, bound his own feet and hands, and said, "Thus says the Ruach HaKodesh, so shall the Jewish leaders in Jerusalem bind the man who owns this belt and deliver him into the hands of the nations." When we heard this, we and the people there pleaded with Paul not to go up to Jerusalem. Paul answered, "What are you doing? Weeping and breaking my heart. For I am ready not only to be bound, but also to die in Jerusalem, for the name of the Master, Yeshua." When he would not be persuaded, we ceased and said, "The will of Adonai be done."
After these days, we packed and went up to Jerusalem. Some of the disciples from Caesarea came with us, bringing us to Mnason of Cyprus, an early disciple, with whom we would lodge. When we arrived in Jerusalem, the brothers received us gladly. The next day Paul went in with us to Yaakov, and all the elders were present. After greeting them, he related one by one the things Elo had done among the nations through his service. When they heard it, they glorified Elo. They said to Paul, "You see, brother, how many thousands there are among the Jewish people who have believed, and they are all zealous for the Torah. They have been told that you teach Jews among the nations to forsake Moshe, telling them not to circumcise their children or walk according to the customs. Therefore do what we tell you. There are 4 men with a vow. Take them, purify yourself with them, and pay their expenses, so all may know there is nothing in what they have been told, but that you yourself also walk orderly, keeping the Torah." Paul took the men, and the next day purified himself with them. He entered the temple, giving notice of the completion of the days of purification until the offering would be presented for each one. When the 7 days were nearly finished, Jewish men from Asia saw him in the temple. They stirred up the whole crowd, laid hands on him, and cried, "Men of Israel, help! This is the man who teaches everyone everywhere against the people, the Torah, and this place." They supposed he had brought Greeks into the temple. The whole city was stirred up, and the people ran together. They seized Paul, dragged him out of the temple, and the gates were shut at once. As they sought to kill him, news came to the commander of the cohort that all Jerusalem was in confusion. He immediately took soldiers and centurions and ran down to them. When they saw the commander and soldiers, they stopped beating Paul. The commander arrested him, ordered him bound with 2 chains, and asked who he was and what he had done. Some in the crowd shouted one thing, some another, unable to learn the truth because of the uproar. He ordered Paul brought into the barracks. When Paul reached the steps, he had to be carried by the soldiers because of the violence of the crowd, for the multitude followed, crying, "Away with him." As he was about to be brought into the barracks, Paul said to the commander, "May I say something to you?" He replied, "You know Greek. Are you not the Egyptian who recently stirred up a revolt?" Paul said, "I am a Jewish man from Tarsus in Cilicia, a citizen of no obscure city. I beg you, permit me to speak to the people." The commander gave permission. Paul stood on the steps, motioned with his hand to the people, and when there was great silence, he spoke to them in the Hebrew language.
Acts chapter 22. Brothers and fathers, hear my defense now before you. When they heard that he spoke to them in the Hebrew language, they became even more silent. Paul said, I am a Jewish man, born in Tarsus of Cilicia, but brought up in this city, educated at the feet of Gamaliel, according to the strict manner of the Torah of our fathers, being zealous for Elohim as you all are today. I persecuted this way to the death, binding and delivering to prison both men and women. The high priest and all the council can bear witness. From them I received letters to the brothers, and I journeyed to Damascus to bring those who were there bound to Jerusalem for punishment. As I was on the road, drawing near to Damascus about noon, suddenly a great light from heaven shone around me. I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? I answered, Who are you, Master? He said to me, I am Yeshua of Nazareth, whom you are persecuting. Those with me saw the light, but did not understand the voice of the one speaking to me. I said, What shall I do, Master? Adonai said to me, Rise and go into Damascus, and there you will be told all that is appointed for you to do. Because I could not see from the glory of that light, I was led by the hand into Damascus. Hananiah, a devout man according to the Torah, well spoken of by all the Jewish people there, came to me, standing by me. He said, Brother Saul, receive your sight. At that very hour I looked up at him. He said, The Elohim of our fathers appointed you to know his will, to see the righteous one, and to hear the voice from his mouth. You will be his witness to all men of what you have seen and heard. Now why do you wait? Rise, be immersed, and wash away your sins, calling on his name. When I returned to Jerusalem and was praying in the temple, I fell into a trance and saw him saying to me, Make haste and leave Jerusalem quickly, because they will not receive your witness about me. I said, Master, they themselves know that in every synagogue I imprisoned and beat those who believed in you. When the blood of your witness Stephen was shed, I myself stood by, approved, and guarded the garments of those who killed him. He said to me, Go, for I will send you far away to the nations. They listened until this word. Then they lifted up their voices and cried, Away with such a man from the earth! He should not live! As they shouted and threw off their cloaks and tossed dust into the air, the commander ordered Paul brought into the barracks, saying he should be examined by scourging. But as they stretched him out, Paul said to the centurion, Is it lawful for you to scourge a Roman citizen who has not been condemned? The commander was afraid when he learned Paul was a Roman citizen. The next day, wishing to know the real reason he was accused, he released him and commanded the chief priests and all the council to gather. He brought Paul down and set him before them. Acts chapter 23. Paul looked intently at the council and said, Brothers, I have lived before Elohim in all good conscience to this day. The high priest Hananiah commanded those standing near him to strike him on the mouth. Then Paul said to him, Elohim will strike you, you whitewashed wall. Are you sitting to judge me according to the Torah? And yet contrary to the Torah you command me to be struck. Those standing by said, Do you revile the high priest of Elohim? Paul said, I did not know, brothers, that he was high priest, for it is written, "You shall not speak evil of a ruler of your people."
When Paul perceived that one part were Sadducean and the other Pharisees, he cried out in the council, "Brothers,
I am a Pharisee, a son of Pharisees. It is concerning the hope and resurrection of the dead that I am on trial." When he said this, a dispute arose between Pharisees and Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. The Sadducees say there is no resurrection, nor messenger, nor spirit. But the Pharisees acknowledged them all. A great clamor arose. Some scribes of the Pharisees stood and argued, "We find nothing evil in this man. What if a spirit or a messenger has spoken to him?" When the dispute became violent, the commander feared Paul would be torn apart by them. He ordered the soldiers to go down, take him by force from among them, and bring him into the barracks. The following night, Ananias stood by Paul and said, "Take courage. As you have testified about me in Jerusalem, so you must also testify in Rome."
When day came, some men formed a conspiracy and bound themselves under an oath, saying they would neither eat nor drink until they had killed Paul. There were more than 40 who made this plot. They went to the chief priests and elders and said, "We have strictly bound ourselves by oath to taste nothing until we have killed Paul. Now ask the commander to bring him down to you, as though you would examine his case more carefully. We are ready to kill him before he comes near." But the son of Paul's sister heard of the ambush. He entered the barracks and told Paul. Paul called one of the centurions and said, "Take this young man to the commander, for he has something to tell him." The commander took him by the hand, withdrew privately, and asked, "What is it you have to tell me?" The young man told him of the plot. The commander dismissed him, charging him to tell no one. Then he called 2 centurions and said, "Prepare 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen, to go to Caesarea at the 3rd hour of the night. Provide mounts for Paul and bring him safely to Felix the governor." He wrote a letter to Felix, explaining that Paul had been seized by the Jewish leaders, that he learned he was a Roman citizen, and that the accusations concerned questions of their law, with nothing deserving death or imprisonment. The soldiers took Paul by night to Antipatris. The next day they returned to the barracks, leaving the horsemen to go on with him. When they came to Caesarea, they delivered the letter to the governor and presented Paul also before him. Felix read the letter and asked what province he was from. Learning that he was from Cilicia, he said, "I will hear you when your accusers arrive." And he commanded that Paul be guarded in Herod's praetorium. Acts chapter 24. After 5 days, the high priest Ananias came down with elders and an advocate named Tertullus. They laid before Felix their case against Paul. Tertullus accused him, saying he was a plague, a mover of riots among Jewish people throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes. He said Paul tried to profane the temple.
When the governor nodded to Paul to speak, Paul answered, "Knowing that for many years you have been judge over this nation, I cheerfully make my defense. You can verify that it is not more than 12 days since I went up to worship in Jerusalem. They did not find me disputing with anyone in the temple, nor stirring up a crowd in the synagogues or in the city. They cannot prove the things they now accuse me of. But this I confess to you, according to the way which they call a sect. I worship the Eloah of our fathers, believing all things written in the Torah and the prophets. I have hope toward Eloah, which these men also accept, that there will be a resurrection of both the righteous and the unrighteous. So I always strive to have a conscience without offense before Eloah and men. After many years I came to bring gifts of mercy to my nation and offerings. They found me purified in the temple, without crowd or uproar. Certain Jewish men from Asia should be here before you, if they have anything against me. Or let these men say what wrongdoing they found when I stood before the council. Except for this one thing I cried while standing among them, concerning the resurrection of the dead. I am on trial before you today." Felix, having rather accurate knowledge of the way, put them off, saying, "When Lysias the commander comes down, I will decide your case." He ordered the centurion to keep Paul in custody, but with some liberty, and not to prevent his friends from attending to him. After some days Felix came with his wife Drusilla, who was Jewish, and sent for Paul. He heard him speak about faith in Messiah Yeshua. As Paul reasoned about righteousness, self-control, and the coming judgment, Felix became afraid and said, "Go away for now. When I have opportunity, I will call for you." At the same time, he hoped Paul would give him money, so he sent for him often and conversed with him. After 2 years, Porcius Festus succeeded Felix, desiring to gain favor with the Jewish leaders. Felix left Paul bound. Acts chapter 24.
Acts chapter 25.
Festus arrived in the province, and after 3 days went up from Caesarea to Jerusalem. The chief priests and leading men laid their case against Paul before him, asking a favor, that he would summon Paul to Jerusalem while they prepared an ambush to kill him on the way. Festus answered that Paul was being kept at Caesarea, and that he himself would go there shortly. "Let the influential men among you go down with me," he said, "and if there is anything wrong in the man, let them accuse him." After staying among them no more than 8 or 10 days, he went down to Caesarea. The next day he sat on the judgment seat and commanded Paul to be brought. The accusers stood around him, bringing many serious charges they could not prove. Paul said in his defense, "Neither against the Torah of the Jewish people, nor against the temple, nor against Caesar have I sinned." Festus, wishing to do the Jewish leaders a favor, said, "Are you willing to go up to Jerusalem and be judged there before me concerning these things?" Paul said, "I am standing before Caesar's judgment seat where I ought to be judged. I have done no wrong to the Jewish people, as you know very well. If I am guilty and have done anything deserving death, I do not refuse to die. But if there is nothing to their charges, no one may hand me over to them. I appeal to Caesar." Then Festus conferred with his council and answered, "You have appealed to Caesar. To Caesar you shall go." After some days, King Agrippa and Bernice arrived at Caesarea to greet Festus. Festus laid Paul's case before the king, saying that Felix had left a prisoner, and that the chief priests and elders had asked for judgment against him. But when the accusers stood up, they brought no charge of evil as I expected. Instead, they had certain disputes with him about their own religion, and about one Yeshua, who had died, but whom Paul affirmed to be alive. Agrippa said, "I would like to hear the man myself." The next day, Agrippa and Bernice came with great pomp, entering the audience hall with commanders and prominent men of the city. Festus commanded Paul to be brought. He said, "King Agrippa and all present, you see this man about whom the whole multitude of the Jewish people petitioned me, crying that he ought not live any longer. But I found that he had done nothing deserving death since he appealed to the emperor. I decided to send him, yet I have nothing definite to write. Therefore I have brought him before you, especially before you, King Agrippa, so that after examination I may have something to write." Acts chapter 26. Agrippa said to Paul, "You are permitted to speak for yourself." Paul stretched out his hand and made his defense. "I consider myself blessed, King Agrippa, that I am to make my defense before you today, concerning all the accusations of the Jewish leaders, especially because you are expert in all customs and questions among the Jewish people. Therefore, I beg you to hear me patiently. My manner of life from youth, from the beginning among my own nation, and in Yerushalayim, is known to all the Jewish people. They have known for a long time, if they are willing to testify, that according to the strictest party of our religion, I lived as a Pharisee. Now I stand here on trial because of the hope in the promise made by Elohim to our fathers, to which our 12 tribes hope to attain as they earnestly serve night and day. For this hope, O King, I am accused. Why is it judged incredible among you that Elohim raises the dead? I myself once thought that I ought to do many things against the name of Yeshua of Nazareth. I did so in Yerushalayim. I locked up many of the holy ones in prison, having authority from the chief priests when they were put to death. I cast my vote against them. In all the synagogues I punished them often and tried to make them blaspheme, being exceedingly enraged against them. I persecuted them even to foreign cities. In this work I journeyed to Damascus, with authority and commission from the chief priests at midday. O King, I saw on the road a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, shining around me and those who traveled with me. When we had all fallen to the ground, I heard a voice speaking to me in the Hebrew language. Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? It is hard for you to kick against the goads. I said, Who are you, Master? Adonai said, I am Yeshua, whom you are persecuting. But rise and stand on your feet, for I have appeared to you for this purpose, to appoint you as a servant and witness of what you have seen and of what I will yet reveal to you. Yeshua said, I will deliver you from your people and from the nations, to whom I send you to open their eyes, so that they may turn from darkness to light, and from the authority of the adversary to Eloah, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and an inheritance among those sanctified by faith in me. Therefore, King Agrippa, I was not disobedient to the heavenly vision. I declared first to those in Damascus, then in Jerusalem, throughout all the country of Yehuda, and also to the nations, that they should repent, turn to Eloah, and do works worthy of repentance. For this reason the Jewish leaders seized me in the temple and tried to kill me. Having obtained help from Eloah, I stand to this day bearing witness to small and great, saying nothing but what the prophets and Moshe said would happen, that the Messiah must suffer, and that by being the first to rise from the dead, he would proclaim light to our people and to the nations. As Paul said these things in his defense, Festus cried with a loud voice, Paul, you are out of your mind. Your great learning is driving you mad. Paul said, I am not out of my mind, most excellent Festus, but I speak words of truth and sober reason. For the king knows about these things, and to him I speak boldly. I am persuaded that none of this is hidden from him, for this has not been done in a corner. King Agrippa, do you believe the prophets? I know that you believe. Agrippa said to Paul, in a short time would you persuade me to become a believer? Paul said, whether short or long, I would to Eloah, that not only you, but all who hear me this day might become such as I am, except for these chains. The king rose and the governor and Bernice and those sitting with them, when they had withdrawn, they said to one another, this man is doing nothing deserving death or chains. Agrippa said to Festus, this man could have been set free if he had not appealed to Caesar. Acts chapter 27. When it was decided that we should sail for Italy, Paul and some other prisoners were delivered to a centurion named Julius of the Augustan cohort. We boarded a ship of Adramyttium, about to sail to ports along the coast of Asia and put to sea. Aristarchus of Macedonia was with us. The next day we put in at Sidon. Julius treated Paul kindly and allowed him to go to his friends and receive care, putting out to sea from there. We sailed under the lee of Cyprus, because the winds were against us. Crossing the open sea along Cilicia and Pamphylia, we came to Myra in Lycia. There the centurion found an Alexandrian ship sailing for Italy and put us on board. We sailed slowly for many days and arrived with difficulty off Cnidus. The wind did not allow us to go farther, so we sailed under the lee of Crete off Salmone, coasting along with difficulty. We came to a place called Fair Havens, near the city of Lasea. Much time had been lost, and sailing had become dangerous. Because the fast was already over, Paul advised them, "Men, I perceive that this voyage will end with injury and much loss, not only of cargo and ship, but also of our lives." But the centurion paid more attention to the pilot and the owner of the ship than to what Paul said. Because the harbor was not suitable to winter in, the majority decided to put out to sea, hoping somehow to reach Phoenix, a harbor of Crete, and spend the winter there. When a south wind blew gently, they supposed they had obtained their purpose. They weighed anchor and sailed close along Crete. But soon a violent wind called the northeaster rushed down from the island. The ship was caught and could not face the wind, so we gave way and were driven. Running under the lee of a small island called Carda, we managed with difficulty to secure the boat after hoisting it up. They used supports to undergird the ship, fearing that they would run aground on the Syrtis. They lowered the gear and were driven along. Since we were violently storm-tossed, the next day they began to throw cargo overboard. On the third day they threw the ship's tackle overboard with their own hands. When neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and no small storm lay on us, all hope of being saved was finally abandoned. After they had gone a long time without food, Paul stood in their midst and said, "Men, you should have listened to me and not set sail from Crete. Yet now I urge you to take courage, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship." This very night a messenger of the Eloah to whom I belong and whom I serve stood beside me, saying, "Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar, and behold, Eloah has granted you all those who sail with you. Therefore take courage, men. I believe Eloah, that it will be exactly as it was told me, but we must run aground on some island." When the 14th night had come, as we were driven across the Adriatic Sea, about midnight the sailors suspected they were nearing land. They took soundings and found 20 fathoms. A little farther on, they found 15. Fearing that we might run on the rocks, they let down 4 anchors from the stern and prayed for day to come. The sailors sought to escape from the ship, lowering the boat into the sea, under pretense of laying anchors from the boat. Paul said to the centurion and soldiers, "Unless these men remain in the ship, you cannot be saved." Then the soldiers cut away the ropes of the boat and let it fall. As day was about to dawn, Paul urged them all to take food, saying, "Today is the 14th day you have continued in suspense without eating. Therefore I urge you to take food, for this is for your preservation. Not a hair from the head of any of you will perish." When he had said this, he took bread, gave thanks to Eloah in the presence of all, broke it, and began to eat. They were all encouraged and also took food. We were in all 276 souls on the ship. When they had eaten enough, they lightened the ship, throwing the wheat into the sea. day came. They did not recognize the land, but they noticed a bay with a beach and planned to run the ship ashore if they could. They cast off the anchors and left them in the sea, loosened the ropes of the rudders, hoisted the foresail to the wind, and made for the beach. But striking a reef where two seas met, they ran the vessel aground. The bow stuck and remained immovable, while the stern was broken by the force of the waves. The soldiers planned to kill the prisoners, lest any should swim away and escape. But the centurion, wishing to save Paul, kept them from carrying out their plan. He ordered those who could swim to jump overboard first and make for land, and the rest to follow, some on planks and some on pieces of the ship. And so it happened. All were brought safely to land.
In the storm, Adonai preserved every soul. In the breaking of the ship,
His word did not break. The sea had raged, the sky had hidden its lights, and men had lost hope. Yet the promise of Eloah stood firm. What he had spoken through his servant came to pass upon the shore. Acts chapter 28. After we were brought safely through, we learned that the island was called Malta. The native people showed us unusual kindness because of the rain and cold. They kindled a fire and welcomed us all. Paul gathered a bundle of sticks and laid them on the fire. A viper came out because of the heat and fastened on his hand. When the people saw the creature hanging from his hand, they said to one another, "Surely this man is a murderer. Though he escaped the sea, justice has not allowed him to live." But Paul shook the creature off into the fire and suffered no harm. They expected him to swell up or suddenly fall dead. After waiting a long time and seeing nothing unusual happen to him, they changed their minds and said he was a god. Nearby were lands belonging to the chief man of the island, whose name was Publius. He received us and entertained us hospitably for 3 days. The father of Publius lay sick with fever and dysentery. Paul went into him, prayed, laid his hands on him, and healed him. After this, the rest of the people on the island who had diseases came and were healed. They honored us greatly. And when we were about to sail, they put on board whatever we needed. After 3 months, we set sail in a ship that had wintered in the island, an Alexandrian ship with the twin brothers as its figurehead, putting in at Syracuse. We stayed 3 days. From there we made a circuit and came to Rhegium. After 1 day a south wind sprang up, and on the second day we came to Puteoli. There we found brothers and were invited to stay with them 7 days. And so we came to Rome. The brothers there, when they heard about us, came as far as the Forum of Appius and 3 taverns to meet us. When Paul saw them, he thanked Eloah and took courage. When we entered Rome,
Paul was allowed to stay by himself with the soldier who guarded him. Acts chapter 28.
After 3 days, Paul called together the local leaders of the Jewish people. When they had gathered, he said to them, "Brothers, though I had done nothing against our people or the customs of our fathers, yet I was delivered as a prisoner from Jerusalem into the hands of the Romans. When they examined me, they wished to release me, because there was no cause of death in me. But when the Jewish leaders objected, I was compelled to appeal to Caesar. Not that I had any charge to bring against my nation. For this reason I asked to see you and speak with you. For because of the hope of Israel, I am bound with this chain." They said to him, "We have received no letters from Yehuda about you, and none of the brothers who came has reported or spoken any evil about you. But we desire to hear from you what you think, for concerning this sect, we know that everywhere it is spoken against." They appointed a day for him, and many came to him at his lodging, from morning until evening. He explained and testified about the kingdom of Eloah, persuading them concerning Yeshua, from both the Torah of Moshe and the prophets. Some were persuaded by what he said, but others did not believe. As they disagreed among themselves, they departed after Paul had spoken one word. "Well, did the Ruach HaKodesh speak through Yeshayahu the prophet to your fathers, saying, 'Go to this people and say, hearing you will hear and not understand, seeing you will see and not perceive. For the heart of this people has grown dull, their ears are hard of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest they should see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their heart, turn back, and I would heal them.' Therefore let it be known to you that this salvation of Eloah has been sent to the nations. They will hear." Paul lived 2 whole years in his own rented house. He welcomed all who came to him, proclaiming the kingdom of Eloah, and teaching the things concerning the Master Yeshua the Messiah, with all boldness, without hindrance.
The witness reached Rome, the kingdom was proclaimed, the word of Eloah
was not bound.